Hello my people. Welcome back to Storytime Africa, where we share stories that touch the heart, stir the soul, and sometimes, just sometimes, bring tears to your eyes. If you're new here, make yourself at home. Grab a chair, relax, and if you've been here before, you already know how we do it. Today's story is deep. It's about truth. Because no matter how fast lies may run, my people, truth go where sleepers enter Okada and still catch up. This story is called Truth Always Finds the Light. It's a modern tale, but the lesson inside is as old as our ancestors. Her name was Edeora. Beautiful girl. Quiet. From a small village just outside Benin City. Her father was a retired headmaster, known for his discipline and love for books. Her mother sold vegetables by the roadside, a humble stall made of old wood, faded tarpaulin, and a plastic chair that wobbled when you sat on it. They were not rich, but they had hope. Big hope. Edeora was their only daughter. Smart, brilliant like morning sun. The type of brilliance that turned heads in primary school, made teachers nod knowingly in staff rooms, and earned small prizes in inter-school competitions. Everyone in her village called her the future professor. Even the village elders would often joke, when Edeora returns, she will teach us sense. And then, one bright harmattan morning, a letter arrived. She had gotten admission into one of the biggest universities in Lagos to study microbiology. The news spread like fire in dry grass. That evening, the village women danced. Her father slaughtered one of his prized chickens. Even her mother, not one for big celebrations, brought out a bottle of malt she'd been saving since Easter. Oh, that was the dream come true. But Lagos life, no be beans. The minute she stepped off the bus at Jibowu, dragging her small red box and clutching her admission letter like a passport to heaven, reality slapped her hard. The city buzzed like a restless bee, yellow buses honked endlessly, street hawkers shouted over each other, and the air smelled of exhaust fumes and roasted corn. Her first year was tough. Hostel fees were high, and the school hostels were overcrowded. She ended up sharing a tiny room with 5 other girls off campus in Bariga. The ceiling leaked, and the fan squeaked all night, but she didn't mind. She had made it to Lagos, and that alone was victory. Textbooks were expensive. Transport to campus was a daily struggle. If it wasn't traffic, it was LASTMA officials stopping buses for no reason. Edeora woke by 4:30 am every day, read under candlelight because NEPA had taken light again, and made sure to leave the house before sunrise. Her parents sent what they could from the village, often choosing between food and Edeora's school fees. They didn't say it, but Edeora knew. Still, she was determined, she would make it. She made friends, kept her head down, and focused. Her GPA in the first year, 4.5, her lecturers took notice. One even invited her to join his research group. But Edeora never let it get to her head. She still wore her old clothes from home and still used her mother's small rubber purse. But Lagos is a city of many faces. In her second year, things got harder. Her father fell ill, something with his chest. The money that would have gone to Edeora's upkeep now went to hospital bills. Her mother tried to keep up by selling more vegetables, even borrowing money from a local thrift collector. But the pressure was getting worse. Edeora didn't tell anyone. She just adjusted. She skipped meals sometimes, collected used textbooks from senior students, and started doing assignments for others to earn small change. She learned the art of surviving, how to stretch one sachet of milk for 1 week, how to charge her phone at the department's reception, how to pretend she wasn't hungry during class. Then one day, something happened. It started like an ordinary Wednesday. She had just finished a practical class and was walking back to the hostel when her phone rang. It was her mother. Her voice was shaky. "Edeora, your father has collapsed." They rushed him to the general hospital. Time froze. She didn't have enough money to go back home. She had just used her last 500 Nigerian nairas to buy handouts. She stood under the scorching Lagos sun, not knowing what to do, feeling like the earth had cracked beneath her feet. That night, she didn't sleep. Her roommates chatted and laughed about an upcoming party, but Edeora just stared at the ceiling, tears rolling silently into her ears. By morning, she knew she had to act. She went to meet her faculty advisor, explained everything, begged for a little help. The woman gave her 3,000 Nigerian nairas, just enough to get her to Benin and back. She took the next available bus home. When she arrived, her father was lying on a hospital bed, tubes in his nose, barely able to speak. He smiled weakly when he saw her and whispered, "My professor." That was the last thing he said. He died 2 days later. Her mother broke down. Edeora couldn't cry. She just sat on the hospital bench, numb. All the hope they had carried, all the dreams they had sown into her future, suddenly felt so heavy. The funeral came and went in a blur. After the burial, villagers came to greet her. Some offered kind words, others gave her small envelopes of condolence money. A few shook their heads and said, "She's too young for this kind of pain." But Edeora didn't break. She returned to Lagos a week later with a fire in her belly. She knew she had no choice now. She was her mother's only hope. Her village's pride. Her father's last wish. So she worked harder. Woke up earlier. Read longer. She started tutoring secondary school students on weekends. Every kobo she earned went to her mother's upkeep and her own survival. One day, while tutoring at a private school in Ikeja, a woman walked in. She was the school's owner. After watching Edeora teach, she offered her a part-time job with better pay. That was the turning point. By her final year, Edeora had saved enough to pay her own fees without asking home. She even sent money to her mother regularly. She still wore simple clothes, still lived humbly, but there was a quiet glow about her. A strength built from pain, persistence, and purpose. At graduation, she received an award for best student in her department. As she walked to the podium, the audience stood and clapped. Her mother, sitting in the crowd with a borrowed wrapper and tears in her eyes, couldn't stop smiling. Yes, they were not rich, but oh, they had hope. And now, they had victory too. Then one day, something happened. The school announced a scholarship. Big money. Enough to cover all her remaining years in school. Accommodation, tuition, textbooks, everything. Even a little monthly allowance. It was the kind of opportunity that could change a life forever. Edeora knew it. Everyone did. But there was a catch. Only the top 3 students in the faculty could apply. She had worked hard that semester. Stayed up late with bloodshot eyes. Skipped parties. Turned down dates. Missed birthdays. All because of this dream: graduate, get a good job, lift her mother out of poverty. That dream was what kept her going. But when the results were finally released, and she rushed to check her standing, her heart dropped. Number 4. Just behind Kayameka. That girl wey dey always form sharp babe with her fake British accent, long painted nails, and bag wey look like designer but probably from Lagos Island Market. But even Edeora couldn't lie, Kayameka sabi book. The babe dey deliver when it mattered. Edeora read the list over and over. Maybe her name was wrong. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe, just maybe, they missed a course or something. She pulled out her phone and calculated her GPA again. No mistake. 3.78. Kayameka had 3.82. That night, Edeora didn't eat. She just sat on her bed in the corner of the tiny room she shared with Nkechi, her coursemate and roommate. The tears came quietly, like drizzle after a heavy storm. She didn't even notice when Nkechi walked in and found her curled up, clutching her pillow like a wounded child. "What happened?" Nkechi asked, dropping her bag. Edeora showed her the result on her phone with trembling fingers. "Number 4, she whispered. "I missed it by just one spot." Nkechi sat beside her, rubbing her back gently. "You try, babe. You really try. But maybe this one no be your own." But Edeora shook her head. "No. I can't go back to the village like this. My mama has done too much. She's still paying off the debt from last semester. Do you know she borrowed from 4 different people just to make sure I registered for courses this year? She fasted the next day. And the day after that. She even joined the fellowship's all-night vigil, asking God for a miracle. Maybe someone would drop out. Maybe the school would extend the application to top 5. Maybe, anything. She begged, "Please God, please. Let me find a way." Then came the voice of temptation, soft and serpentine. Her roommate, Nkechi, leaned in close one evening while they were both on their laptops. "Babe, you sabi spreadsheet now. You fit edit the result. Change am small. Just small. Submit am fast. Nobody go know." Edeora froze. "Wetin you talk?" "You heard me," Nkechi whispered, eyes scanning the room. "Now you dey always help people balance figures. You even teach me how to use VLOOKUP. You sabi pass those people wey dey manage the faculty records. Just upgrade the GPA small. Not only small bump." Edeora laughed nervously. "I can't do that. Oh. What if they catch me?" "They won't. Who dey check GPA when PDF don't land for desk? Not the same form everybody dey fill. Just enter your new GPA, save am, print am, and submit." For days, Edeora tried to erase the thought. She poured herself into church programs, read the Bible, avoided looking at Nkechi. But as the deadline approached, the fear returned. That deep, gnawing fear of failure. Of going back to that small village with no electricity, where old women gathered under mango trees to gossip and pity your family. She thought of her mother, Mama Edeora, her bent back, her cracked hands from years of washing yam at Ogbit Market, her threadbare wrapper tied tightly around her waist, her smile every time Edeora called to say she passed another test. One night, when Nkechi was out, Edeora stared at her laptop for hours. The form was open. Cursor blinking. Hands trembling. She told herself, just check what it would look like. Just for imagination's sake. She changed the GPA. From 3.78 to 4.01. She stared at it for a long time. Then she saved it. Printed it. Folded it. Tucked it into her folder with the rest of the documents. But she didn't sleep that night. The next day, she stood in line with other applicants, her folder clutched to her chest like a secret she couldn't confess. When she finally dropped it on the desk and walked away, her legs felt numb. Like she had walked through fire barefoot. For 2 weeks, Edeora couldn't breathe properly. She avoided eye contact with her lecturers. She stopped going to fellowship. She even started ignoring her mother's calls, afraid she'd hear the disappointment in her voice somehow, even through the phone. Then one evening, an email came in. Subject: Scholarship Award Announcement. She opened it with shaking fingers. And there it was. "Congratulations, Miss Edeora Okafor." Her scream echoed through the corridor. Neighbors rushed in thinking something bad had happened. But she was on the floor, crying and laughing, phone clutched in her hand, knees pressed to the tiles. Nkechi hugged her. "You see? I told you. Nobody go catch you." Everyone in the hostel celebrated her win. Some called her Ada Scholarship. Others said it was long overdue. But only Edeora knew the truth. Only she knew how her stomach twisted every time someone clapped for her. Only she knew how her joy was laced with guilt like palm wine mixed with bitter leaf. And guess what? She won the scholarship. Oh, the celebration was loud. Oh. Calls from her mother, our daughter, our Edeora. We knew it. The dean shook her hand. She even made it to the university's website. People began to look at her differently, respect, admiration. It was a moment she had dreamed of all her life. The applause echoed in her ears long after the ceremony ended. Neighbors who once muttered behind her back now praised her brilliance. Old classmates reached out with compliments and questions, trying to reconnect as if they hadn't once ignored her. Edeora's face was suddenly on posters, first-class graduate in engineering, shared by the university itself. Her mother wore osoebi for a week, proudly walking around the market as if Edeora had won the Nobel Prize. Everyone called it a miracle. After years of struggling with school fees, borrowing textbooks, and studying by candlelight, she had done it. Against all odds, the girl from the narrow street in Enugu, whose father once fixed radios to keep the family afloat, had made it. They said she was the pride of the town. Even the pastor mentioned her during Sunday service. But behind all the praise and photo shoots, Edeora felt the weight of silence. She avoided certain phone calls. She didn't post too much online. Because somewhere deep down, she knew there were things left unsaid, details buried like bones no one wanted to dig up. Her smile was real, yes. But it was layered with something else. Something hidden. Because truth no dey die. It just dey hibernate. 2 weeks later, in a cramped office tucked away in the corner of the university's ICT department, Connor, one of the lesser-known IT guys, was doing his routine back-end checks. Connor wasn't the loud type. He wasn't the guy you'd notice at the staff meeting or during faculty events. But what Connor lacked in social presence, he made up for in precision. This guy, thorough like EFCC. He was reviewing server logs as part of a new audit directive from the Vice-Chancellor's office. It was supposed to be just another boring assignment. But then, something strange caught his eye. A GPA sheet had been uploaded from a faculty account, but the timestamp and IP address didn't match the usual submission pattern. Most lecturers uploaded from the campus intranet, this one came from a remote IP. Curious, Connor dug deeper. The original server log showed a different GPA sheet uploaded 5 minutes earlier, with drastically different scores. At first, he thought it was a system glitch. Maybe a caching error or duplicate entry. But no, he cross-referenced everything. The login time. The user ID. Even the MAC address. That's when it hit him. Someone had tampered with the results. And not just any result, this was the graduating class. The top 5 students had suddenly shifted rankings overnight. Names had moved. Scores had jumped. One particular name now sat comfortably at the very top, Edeora Nwachukwu. Connor sat back in his chair. He knew that name. Everyone did. She was the golden girl of the department. Bright. Eloquent. Always composed. But the logs didn't lie. He stared at the screen for a long moment, then quietly packaged everything, screenshots, server logs, timestamps. He attached them in an email and sent it straight to the faculty head. By Monday morning, the email had made its rounds. An emergency meeting was called. The faculty head, the dean, 2 senior lecturers, and Connor were all present. A printed report was laid out on the desk. Clear. Unforgiving. Then came the summons. Edeora walked into the room, confident. She thought it was another congratulatory meeting, maybe a final acknowledgement before the convocation. She even smiled when she greeted them. "Good morning, sirs." More. No one smiled back. They handed her the printed logs. Server access history. The edited GPA sheet. Her login credentials. A trace of the remote IP linked to her off-campus apartment. The room was silent for a full minute. The dean looked her dead in the eye and asked one word. "Why?" Tears welled up instantly. She clutched the paper, eyes darting from one face to another. She had no answer. She couldn't lie again. The weight was too heavy. She confessed. Everything. The silence in that room, my people, it was loud. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. No one moved. No one spoke. Even the air stood still, like it too was waiting to understand how something so shocking could come from someone like her. She had always been the golden girl. Top of the class, the one professor smiled at in the hallway, the one parents told their kids to be like. Her name was etched in every academic board, her pictures proudly placed on every student achievement wall. She was the girl who had it all: brains, grace, ambition. And in just 5 minutes, all of that came crumbling down. When the committee called for the emergency disciplinary hearing, many thought it was a mistake. Rumors flew, maybe it was jealousy, maybe someone framed her. But when she walked into that room with trembling hands and eyes filled with tears, we knew. Something was off. "I did it," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "I panicked during the final exam and used notes I had hidden in my sleeve. I didn't know what came over me. I was just scared to fail." Gasps filled the room. A professor dropped his pen. One of her closest classmates looked away, as if watching her fall would hurt more than hearing her confession. The verdict. Scholarship revoked. She was suspended for a semester. And worse, her name was removed from the faculty's honor roll. Just like that. For years of hard work, reduced to one mistake. When she packed her things that evening, it felt like the sun itself refused to shine. She didn't say goodbye to anyone. She walked through campus like a shadow, invisible, broken. People stared but didn't speak. What was there to say? She went home ashamed. Her family. Devastated. Her mother couldn't speak for hours. She just cried and held her like she was a child again. Now my people. I want you to pause here. If you were Edeora, what would you have done? Would you have edited the result too? Or would you walk away, knowing that your honesty may not pay now, but it will later? Tell us in the comments. Let's be honest, this life where we dey live, sometimes good people suffer. But does that mean we should bend our morals? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk. Let's share. Edeora's story teaches us something powerful. Lies can get you to the top, but truth will decide if you stay there. She came back after her suspension. Quiet. Humble. She started afresh. And this time, she worked hard. In her final year, she got a different scholarship, one based not just on grades, but character. And this time, she earned it. Her name is no longer stained. She speaks today in schools and churches about integrity. Because even though she fell, she chose to rise again. And that, my people, that is what truth does. It may hurt. It may cost you. But in the end, it frees you. If this story touched you, please, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe to Storytime Africa, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Maybe there's a young person facing the same temptation right now. This might be the very message they need. And tell us, what would you do if you were in Adora's shoes? Because here on Storytime Africa, we don't just tell stories. We spark conversations. We pass down wisdom. We keep Africa's heart beating, one story at a time. Until next time, my people, stay honest. Stay hopeful. And remember, truth always finds the light.